Today in this video I'll give a detailed explanation about burlesque. Burlesque, as we know, is a literary term. It is an imitation. It imitates the form and style or the subject matter of a serious literary work or genre. It is a form of satire. Now burlesque is an imitation, but it is not a harmonious imitation. It is an incongruous imitation. Incongruous imitation means the form and the style of writing is in disharmony with the subject matter of that literary work. Alright. Burlesque is most often used interchangeably with parody, travesty. We'll understand about all of it in the later part of my lecture. Burlesque, it can be distinguished into low burlesque and high burlesque. Alright. Now what does high burlesque mean? In what happens in high burlesque is the form and style. Here the form and style is high, but the subject matter is low and undignified. Alright. Now form and style means the way the work is written, everything that goes into the writing of that work, like the diction, you can say, the length, the setting, everything is the form, and that comes under form and style. And the subject here in high burlesque is very low and undignified. Okay. Now when I say high burlesque, what comes under high burlesque? So you can call parody a high burlesque, mock epic or mock heroic epic a high burlesque. Now what does parody mean? Parody imitates the characteristic feature of a particular literary work. Alright, we can understand, we know what parody is, right? We have seen so many parodies in our on YouTube or whatever. We have seen parodies on different movies, or sometimes parodies are made on music videos. Like if I give you the most popular example, you can see Burt Baker. He's a YouTuber. He makes parodies on Taylor Swift's videos, right? So in literary work, it started with literary work only, parodies. So there are very famous examples like Henry Fielding parodying Samuel Richardson's Pamela with Tom Andrews. And we also have Jane Austen. We also have Jane Austen's Northanger Abbey. Here what she does is that she makes fun of the whole gothic genre. Okay, so this is what parody is. We can when I give you the examples, you can relate it. You can relate to it easily, right? Now the other form of high burlesque is mock epic. Now in order to understand what mock epic is, we must understand what epic is. Now what is epic? Epic is a long narrative poem. Its size is bulky. It goes on and on till 10, 11 to 12 books, right? Like Paradise Lost, we have Iliad and Odyssey, we have Ramayana, Mahabharata. It's a humongous it is of humongous size, you can say. And it talks about achievements of a history of a traditional hero. It is replete with exaggeration. The theme is often sublime, having universal significance, right? The diction is also grand. Now what is mock epic? Mock epics are the epics which are parodies of epics. Here the subject matter is quite undignified, but the form and style is of high grand manner, right? The most famous example is Pope's The Rape of the Lock. Now unlike Paradise Lost, what happens in The Rape of the Lock? In Paradise Lost, it talks about the ways of men in the world, right? And what happens in The Rape of Lock? The whole issue surrounds around Belinda's lost lock of hair, which has been unsurreptitiously cut by the Baron, right? The subject matter is her precious lock of hair, which ends up becoming a constellation in the sky. Okay, so now we'll learn what low burlesque is all about. Now what is low burlesque? What happens is low burlesque is that here the subject matter is of high and dignified manner, and the form and style is of low undignified manner. Okay, there are two varieties of low burlesque. One is the Hudibrastic poem and one is the travesty. Now Hudibrastic poem, Hudibrastic directly comes from Samuel Butler's popular work Hudibras, which satirized rigid Puritanism by describing the adventures of a Puritan king Sir Hudibras. Instead of the dignified style of the traditional genre of the chivalric romance, here we find the hero experiencing mundane and humiliating misadventures. Okay, and it is described in doggerel verses, right? The diction, the phrases are not at par with what the dignified passages are written in. The next is travesty. Now, what a travesty does is that it mocks a particular work by treating its lofty, dignified subject in a grotesquely undignified manner and style. Okay, two examples. I'll give you two examples of travesty. One is Virgil's Aeneid. A travesty of Virgil's Aeneid was written, and here the Dido and Aeneas, the main characters of Virgil's Aeneid, they talked like fishwives and ruffians. I told you, na, the form and style here is presented in an undignified and low manner. And then the next is Ernest Hemingway's novel Across the River and Into the Trees. Here a travesty has been written by the New Yorker, and it was titled as Across the Street and Into the Bar. So here we come to the end of the explanation of burlesque. Now quickly let me explain to you another literary term, which is Bowdlerize. Now Bowdlerize is a word that has been derived from Reverend Thomas Bowdler. Alright, and how did this word come about? What it did is that when he was editing Shakespeare's work, he omitted a few passages, a few quotes, etc., in order to make it more fit for to be read in front of a family. Okay, from there it came the word Bowdlerize, which means to delete from an edition of a literary work passages considered by the editor to be indecent or indelicate. If the editor considers some passages, some lines to be not fit for the kind of audience that it is targeting, then it will be deleted from that work in order to make it more fit for that for the audience. So that is what Bowdlerize is all about. Thank you.